a luxury cruise, sun-soaked beaches, music fans ready to celebrate alongside one of the most uplifting voices in the industry. That was the promise of Soulshine at Sea, with Michael Franti, a floating festival meant to be for days of joy and connection. But in the blink of an eye, everything changed. The cruise was cancelled, artists dropped out, and headlines exploded with controversy. At the center of it all, Michael Franti, a musician long admired for his positivity, suddenly facing some of the most serious allegations of his career. So how did a dream vacation turn into a public scandal? And what really happened between Michael Franti and rising star Victoria Canal that led to this dramatic fallout? Cruise cancellation. The Soulshine at Sea cruise wasn't just another vacation. It was Michael Franti's signature event, a 4-day journey sailing from Miami to Cancun, promising intimate concerts, yoga sessions, and community gatherings with fans who saw him not just as an artist, but as a beacon of positivity. For years, it had been a tradition that brought his community closer together. But then came August 15th. Guests who had already booked their cabins woke up to an email they never expected: the cruise was off. Organizers offered refunds or credits, while their official statements cited only recent events. That vague phrase left fans scrambling for answers. Just 2 days later, on August 17th, Sixman, the company behind the cruise, confirmed what people were beginning to suspect too: many artists had pulled out of the lineup, making the event impossible to continue. The announcement sent shockwaves through Franti's fan base. Why would so many performers abandon ship all at once? And what were these recent events that forced a festival known for joy and healing to suddenly fall apart? The truth pointed back to a single Instagram post, one that had already started stirring a storm online. Victoria Canal's shocking allegations. On August 11th, Victoria Canal celebrated her 27th birthday in a way no one expected, not with cake or champagne, but with a confession that would shake her corner of the music world. In a long, emotional Instagram post, she revealed a story she said had haunted her for nearly a decade. She described being 19 years old, a newcomer to the music scene, when a powerful, decades-older musician plucked her from college and promised her a professional opportunity. To the outside world, this man appeared charismatic, principled, and family-oriented. But behind the curtain, she alleged, the reality was far darker. According to Canal, what began as mentorship quickly shifted into something far more disturbing. She claimed his slowly blurred the boundaries, introducing sexual topics into their conversations and taking photos without her awareness or consent. At first, she resisted, telling him she wasn't sure this was a good idea. His response, she says, was chilling: "It's fine as long as you don't tell anyone." In her post, she painted a picture of isolation, saying she often wasn't given her own accommodations, and if she wanted a bed to sleep in or even a shower, it had to be on his terms. She claimed this pattern of control lasted for more than a year, leaving a lasting mark not only on her career but on her personal life. "This has plagued my body, spirit, and mind for my entire 20s, she wrote, "but today, I am choosing freedom by sharing this with you all." She never named her abuser. She didn't have to. Within hours, the post went viral, sparking furious speculation across fan communities. And soon, attention began to shift in one direction: toward Michael Franti. Unmasking without naming. Victoria Canal never wrote his name. She never tagged him, never offered a direct accusation. But the details in her post, the timeline, the description of a much older, well-established artist, the context of her early career, had people whispering the same name almost immediately. Fans began combing through past tour schedules, social media archives, and interviews. Online discussions lit up with speculation, connecting Victoria's story to her time performing alongside Michael Franti. Soon, those whispers turned into headlines, with people reporting that the two artists were in fact referring to each other in their statements. The picture she painted was unsettling. A man with decades in the spotlight, surrounded by a protective team, allegedly using his influence to blur boundaries with someone who was barely an adult. The power imbalance alone was enough to raise alarm bells. For Victoria, the experience wasn't just about uncomfortable memories. She said it reshaped her entire 20s, damaging her relationships, her confidence, and even her sense of safety in the industry. For Michael Franti, the speculation meant something else entirely: a tidal wave of scrutiny and pressure to respond. Michael Franti responds. After days of silence, Michael Franti finally spoke. On August 17, he released a statement on Instagram addressing what he called recent posts. He never mentioned Victoria Canal by name, but it was clear who he was talking about. Franti didn't shy away from the relationship itself. He admitted it had happened, but he vehemently disputed any suggestion that it wasn't consensual. In his words, the bond they shared was based on mutual feelings and attraction. At the same time, he acknowledged what many critics had already pointed out: the imbalance of power. He was a headliner, she was barely starting her career, and he was decades older. For those reasons alone, I never should have allowed the relationship to become romantic, he wrote. Then came the most personal part of his confession. Franti revealed that his wife, Sarah, discovered the relationship to save their marriage. He ended it, but the damage was done. I broke my wedding vows. I broke my wife's trust. I broke her heart, he admitted. He described years of work trying to repair what he had shattered at home, while also apologizing publicly to both his wife and to Victoria. But his attempt at honesty only seemed to deepen the divide. Supporters saw accountability in his words, while critics called it an admission of betrayal and manipulation. For many, the statement raised more questions than it answered. Public reaction and fallout. The response was immediate and explosive. As soon as Michael Franti's statement went live, the comments sections filled with outrage, disbelief, and divided opinions. Some fans argued that his words showed honesty, that he had admitted his flaws and was trying to make amends. But for others, his defense only confirmed what they feared: a man in power had crossed a line with someone young, vulnerable, and dependent on him for opportunities. Artists began quietly, and not so quietly, pulling out of the Soulshine at Sea lineup. What started as a trickle turned into a wave, until the entire festival collapsed under the weight of departures. 6 men, the cruise organizers, had no choice but to cancel the voyage altogether. What was once marketed as a journey of music and community now looked like a sinking ship, both literally and figuratively. On social media, fans battled it out. Supporters of Canal praised her bravery, calling her story a mirror of countless other experiences in the industry. Supporters of Franti pointed to his reputation for kindness, positivity, and activism, arguing that he was being unfairly painted as a villain. The comments turned into debates about consent, power, and what responsibility older artists carry when mentoring younger talent. For Michael Franti, the damage was already done: a cruise cancelled, a reputation shaken, and the music community watching closely to see what would happen next. But as the dust settled, it became clear that this wasn't just about one relationship, it was part of something bigger. The bigger picture in the music industry. As this story spread, it became clear this wasn't just about one cancelled cruise or one broken relationship. What Victoria Canal described, and what Michael Franti admitted to, in part echoed a much larger, deeply rooted issue in the music industry: the imbalance of power between established stars and newcomers desperate for a chance. For decades, stories have surfaced of young artists being drawn into relationships, situations, or contracts where their inexperience left them vulnerable. Some of these stories never reached the public. Others exploded into headlines, sparking movements that called out predatory behavior and demanded accountability from the industry. Victoria's post struck a nerve because it wasn't just about her pain, it was about the countless others who could see themselves in her words. The late-night texts disguised as mentorship, the blurred lines between professional and personal, the promise of opportunity held in one hand while control was quietly tightened with the other. It's a story that too many have whispered about, but far fewer have dared to say out loud. And in an era where artists and fans alike are increasingly unwilling to stay silent, these conversations are no longer just passing scandals. They're sparking real questions. How should mentorship look in music? Where should the line be drawn between personal and professional? And what responsibility do established musicians carry when the power is tilted so heavily in their favor? For Michael Franti, these questions came crashing down all at once, but the ripples go far beyond his career. Where things stand now. Today, the dust hasn't fully settled. The Soulshine at Sea cruise, once a celebration of music, connection, and joy, is officially cancelled. For fans who looked forward to it all year, the disappointment is real. But for Michael Franti, the cancellation is just one piece of a much larger fallout. His reputation, built over decades of uplifting songs and socially conscious activism, is now clouded by allegations and admissions that have left many questioning the man behind the music. He insists the relationship was consensual, yet admits he failed to recognize the power imbalance and betrayed the trust of his own family. For some, that honesty shows growth. For others, it's far too little, far too late. Victoria Canal, meanwhile, has taken a different path. By speaking out, she says she feels liberated, no longer carrying the weight of a secret that haunted her for nearly a decade. Her story has sparked conversations not just about Franti, but about the industry at large and the young women still entering it, wide-eyed and vulnerable. So where does that leave things now? For Franti, the future is uncertain. His music may continue, but his image has been permanently altered. For Canal, the road ahead is one of healing, empowerment, and perhaps even advocacy. And for the music world, this is yet another reminder that silence can be broken, and that power without accountability always comes at a cost. Whether this moment fades as just another scandal or sparks deeper change in the way the industry treats its rising stars is still unknown. But one thing is clear, the story of Michael Franti and Victoria Canal is no longer a private matter. It's part of a public reckoning, one that may shape the future of music itself.